story of Atlantis. It's haunted us for centuries, right? This incredible island empire, just gone, swallowed by the sea in a single day and night. It's a mystery that's been whispered about for millennia. But today, we're not grabbing our diving gear. No, we're grabbing our keyboards. We're gonna decompile the myth. So everyone always asks this question. It's the one that's launched 1,000 expeditions, from the shores of Greece all the way to Antarctica. Explorers and scholars have literally scoured the globe, absolutely convinced the answer is hidden on some map buried deep on the ocean floor. But what if that's the wrong question entirely? What if the first step to solving this whole puzzle is realizing we've been trying to debug the wrong line of code all along? Now that is the real question. See, the moment you shift your focus from geography to chronology, the entire problem changes. The mystery of Atlantis might not be about a lost location, but a misplaced event, a glitch in the timeline. And if history is just a program, well, then it can be reverse engineered. And that's our mission for this explainer. We're operating on the theory that the official narrative we've all been given isn't some perfect organic record. It's a carefully constructed program. And just like any program, it has patterns, it has subroutines, and yeah, it has vulnerabilities. We're here to find them. Okay, so our investigation starts by zeroing in on the anomaly. The problem isn't a sunken city, it's more like a corrupted file in the historical record. And to understand it, we're gonna need a very specific analytical tool. So here's the crucial part. We'll be using an analytical model called the history hacking principle. And what it suggests is that major events and figures, they aren't necessarily unique. They're templates, copied and pasted across a timeline that's been artificially inflated, and it all follows the predictable logic. So think of it less like a chaotic story and more like a structured database built on a very specific schema. And inside that schema, you start to see these key variables. The first one is the number 800. This 800-year cycle just appears over and over and over again, connecting empires and events that should be totally unrelated, like the biographies of Emperor Augustus and Charlemagne, which are separated by almost exactly 800 years. It's a recurring algorithm, you know? A phantom echo in the code of history. And then there's another number that keeps popping up, 529. Now this isn't random. It's what theorists call a construction number, something that's been woven into key dates. For instance, the time between the very first Olympiad and the founding of Rome is a precise fraction of this number. You see, these aren't just coincidences. They are parameters that have been hard-coded right into the system. All right, so we've got our tools, we've got our algorithm. Now let's run a diagnostic. Let's apply this history hacking algorithm, this lens of pattern recognition, to the Atlantis file and just see what it spits out. So here's the central hypothesis. What if the story of Atlantis wasn't a unique event at all? What if it was the original blueprint, the master template, that another famous story of destruction was copied from? The story of Troy. I mean, the side-by-side comparison here it's pretty revealing. Just look at the structure. In both stories, you have a mighty seafaring empire. Both are locked in a huge conflict with an early Greek civilization, the Proto-Athenians or the Achaeans. And the ultimate fate for both? Total and utter destruction. The plot points are virtually identical. It's almost as if the story of Troy is just a later version of the Atlantis program. You know, just running on different hardware. Okay, but what about Plato's claim that Atlantis existed 9,000 years before his time? Well, in this model, you gotta stop thinking of that number as a historical date. It's a function. Its real purpose is to push this primeval template so far back into the mists of time that it becomes pure myth, the ultimate origin story for imperial collapse. So, this leads us to the motive. If Atlantis was an invention, a programmed myth, then who wrote the code and why? I mean, what purpose did this story actually serve? The logic here is actually pretty simple when you think about it. It's a basic principle of narrative construction. Great stories don't just exist in a vacuum. To create a hero, you need a villain. To tell a story of eternal success, you absolutely need a cautionary tale of total failure. The theory argues that these history falsifiers require this mirror image, this dark reflection, what they call a counter. And there it is. That's the core argument. Atlantis was constructed as the dark counterpole to the Roman Empire. Think about it. While Rome was being built up as this eternal city, a story of inevitable global power, Atlantis was projected into the deep past as its perfect opposite, a cautionary tale of a mighty empire destroyed by its own pride. One is the dream, the other is the nightmare. And you know, this whole mirror technique wasn't just a one-off trick. Just look at this pattern. You start with the original, Roman Emperor Augustus. Then you insert a time gap, in this case, that recurring 800-year cycle. And what pops up on the other side? A mirror image is created, Charlemagne, whose biography maps almost perfectly onto Augustus's. It's the same algorithm, used to establish a pattern of deliberate chronological construction.
So when we compile all the data, the conclusion isn't about a physical place at all. It's about a literary and chronological construct, one designed to serve a very specific narrative purpose for a completely different empire.
These are the falsifiers' fingerprints left all over the source code. You've got duplicated emperor biographies. You've got artificially stretched time periods, precise mathematical patterns like those 800-year cycles, the chronological mirroring of entire events, and of course, the creation of mythical counterpoles like Atlantis. This isn't random history, folks. This is evidence of intelligent design. And that is the ultimate takeaway here. The quest for Atlantis was never really about geology. It's about historiography. The treasure isn't some sunken city. It's the realization that history itself can be a fabrication built on a logical and therefore hackable foundation. So, the myth of Atlantis, when you see it through this lens, it just transforms. It stops being a mystery of the deep, and it becomes a masterclass in narrative engineering, a ghost in the machine of our own history, designed from the ground up to shape the story of civilization itself.
And that's the question I want to leave you with. Because once you see the patterns and the algorithms at play in one great myth, you can't help but start to wonder where else they might be running. The glitch isn't just in the story of Atlantis. The glitch might be in the system itself.